Still DMing influencers for collabs? Find your perfect...
All right. Welcome to the stream. Appreciate each and every one of y'all. First and foremost, I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. You know what I'm saying? But we're gonna go over some creepypasta dating horror stories. I like these things because it makes me have to like think through a process. Well, not even this one particularly, but more so process how a situation could happen and then solving that problem in a logical way. And then also I like to hear other people's stories. So, hey, you actually got the alert. Hey, well, did you get you did the bell icon, right? You did the post notification thing, because that's what should, allow you to get the the notification message, whatever.
Hey everyone, this is gonna be the last video until Monday, so I hope you all have a great weekend. I'm starting to get low again on stories, so if you have a story of any topic, you should send it over at southerncannibal.com, or you can email it at southerncannibalstories@gmail.com. Only if you want to, that is. If you don't, or you don't have a story, that's okay too. I just thought I'd bring it up. All that being said, let's go ahead and get started into these stories. And remember to always stay hungry.
I'm definitely always hungry. I'll tell you that much. I just got back from the gym, got out of the shower, get my day really started. I did my prepping for the day, but I'm definitely hungry. So I got to get some food in me after the stream for sure. Yes, but they don't always send it, or they'll send it super late. Is it only for post, or is it for also like live streams as well? What's up, everybody?
The story took place around late 2016 to early 2017 when I was around 20 years old. I'd just gotten my heart broken for the first time and I found myself looking for an escape. I downloaded Tinder and aimlessly began swiping because I had no real intention of looking for a relationship, more of a distraction honestly. I ended up matching when his profile listed that he was around my age. He was about 6'5" and from Turkey. He had just moved to Atlanta, Georgia, which is where I lived at the time. He was a basketball player, and he looked like a fairly average guy. Let's call him Ali. Ali and I spontaneously decided that we should meet up the next night at a hookah bar on campus of my college. I had to get my mom to drop me off because I sadly didn't have my license yet at 20 years old. I arrived near the hookah bar at our meeting time.
You said it's for everything? That hella sucks. Cause that again is why I want to kind of not transfer over, but delegate me streaming on Twitch, cause I know that they're on top of things when it comes to like sending notifications for people to join the stream or whatever. So, yeah.
Which was 6:30 and waited. I texted him through Tinder since his phone was still international. and I hadn't heard back from him. First red flag. I got a response and he stated that he was only a few minutes away. I began.
Quick question. How many red flags until it's like a no? You know what I'm saying? Or I feel like there's a tier list to red flags that people are willing to deal with. You know what I'm saying? People will tolerate other red flags. So are they really red flags if you're still willing to go out on a date with this person? You know what I'm saying? If not, then it's just a yellow flag. Just a little penalty. But if it's a red flag, it should be a no. You know what I mean? How many red flags are people taking before it's like, oh, yeah. Because then if there's a tier list to the red flags, then it couldn't be a real red flag. You know what I mean? Am I making sense? Yeah, Twitch, you could do... You can't do everything, but you could do just about everything.
I'm playing on my phone for a few, and I noticed that I was draining my battery significantly, so I put it away. I just sat down on a bench across from the restaurant and waited somewhat impatiently. I really should have left. After I waited embarrassingly for 45 minutes, Ali arrived from his Uber and began signaling me.
Nobody could be that late in ever. And I'm like, all right, yeah, that's okay. No way. I would have, kid you not, if I was at a restaurant, especially if it was a restaurant that I knew, I'm getting me some food, everything, and I'm bouncing. And if they just so happen to come in, I'd be like, I'm already done.
He looked just like his picture, and all was well in that instant. I greeted him and we had a hug when he had suddenly leaned in for a kiss. I jolted back and then nervously laughed and said, no. He then proceeded to try it again, and this time I said no in a much more firm voice. Second red flag. He shrugged.
All right, there's 2 red flags so far. Honestly, it's like 5, but 2 red flags, she says.
His shoulders and he asked if I was ready to enter the restaurant. Apprehensively, I agreed. Upon entering the hookah lounge, the hostess greeted us and asked to wait to be seated. He began to argue with her. There are plenty of seats open here. We can sit wherever we want. And then he proceeded to walk past her and go find a place to sit. She just said okay, and I looked at her with a sympathetic look and apologized. To preface, I have no issue paying for my own meal on a date. That's not an issue, but I found myself short on cash this week, and I told him this beforehand we had the date. He said it was no problem and that he'll pay. So as we sat down, our server came over and offered...
So that wasn't a red flag, how you treat people? You know what I'm saying? Like, oh my goodness. I have ignored so many red flags. I totally live to regret it. I'll never wait 45 minutes, 15, and I'm out. It's disrespectful, and some people do it on purpose, and that is an absolute fact. Like, what? Because first off, like, if I'm doing something, or if I'm like, all right, I want to go out to eat, I'm going to get mine. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get my food. If they happen to be late, that's on them. The date's already off. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't... Time you can't get back. And I'm not gonna settle for, oh, I was... It'd be different if there was already, like, precautions before, saying, like, hey, I gotta go pick up my kid, or I might be late because of work, but this is like hours prior or the day prior or whatever the case may be. So then I could be mentally prepared. But if I'm prepared to see you at this time, being late is not okay at all. But then this dude comes in and leans in for 2 kisses, and she says second red flag. And then he disrespects the waitress. No third red flag? Like, how many red flags is going up? What's going on?
us menus and a hookah, which he refused. Then the waiter offered a drink menu, which he accepted. The issue here is that we're under 21, and in the United States it isn't legal to drink until you're 21. So he proceeded to order himself a Coke. Yeah, just a Coke. I ended up just getting a Gatorade, and we began making awkward small talk. That conversation was so pointless I can't even remember it. I remember that he mostly was just scrolling on his phone, not really talking to me that much. One thing I do remember though is him pointing at me and then saying, "You are gonna be my girlfriend." No asking or anything.
Bro, is this even real? You know what I'm saying? Like, I know some wildly obscene things happen, but this sounds just so outlandish. It's just like almost incomprehensible.
I knew that I wasn't going to be going on a second date. That was something I made up in my mind for sure. The waiter comes by and he asks if we wanted to order.
She already made up in her mind, like not even 30 minutes in, that she wouldn't go out on a second date, but she decides to stay. That's a problem. Like, what? Like, that's not being, I'm being nice, I'm whatever. No, like, get up and leave. You know, the power of no is so strong. It's very, very strong. Very strong. Yeah, he does sound crazy.
Or anything else. He then begins to get up to leave the restaurant saying, "Let's go somewhere else. I don't want to be in here anymore." But I then asked, "Do you plan on paying the bill?" To which he just said, "Oh yeah." He was just about to walk out without paying. I was so embarrassed and humiliated in front of the waiter. He pays the waiter and we make our way out of the restaurant. Wanting to cut the date early, I began to check for my phone, but to my horror, it died. He asked me if I wanted
How? Of all people, women should never have a phone that's on E. It should at least be at 50-60% if you're going out, especially on a date. At the very least. That is, what? How's your phone die? Like, go back inside, charge your phone, be like, "I'm good, bro." Make it simple. She making it hard for herself. Like when I hear stupid stuff, it's kind of hard for me to have sympathy if you die. Like, in other scenarios where it's not their fault, but she's making it so much her fault that if she died, I've been like, I mean, would you expect me to, like, what?
to go for a walk in that part, and I reluctantly agreed. As we're walking, he starts to lean towards me again. He then says, "So, can I kiss you?" Maybe later, I told it.
Why would she give him that option? See, this is why, especially women, need to understand men. Men are very black and white. That's it. Like, if you give wiggle room, that's either a yes or a no. If you say maybe, that's a yes. I'm just telling you how generally men think, right? You say maybe later, when in your head you know it's a no, but you're giving him opportunity to... What is this, yo? Like, are you serious? This can't be for real. Hey, what up, Chelsea? What's poppin', pimpin'?
Because at the time, I was more of a people pleaser rather than flat out rejecting him. We walk across the street when he then suddenly says, "I don't think I can wait any longer." He then grabs me by my waist, pulls me in a forced kiss, and then asks me if I'm a virgin. I lied and said yes because I hoped that he would lay off. But he then says, "Well, me too. Now we can lose it to each other." He then continues to forcefully kiss me while using teeth. It almost felt like as if he were biting me. A little about me is I'm 5'9" and 150 pounds at the time. While I'm not a super small girl, I was honestly small next to him. as he was 6'5" and maybe 250 pounds. Keep in mind, all of this is taking place at 8 p.m. at night in a nearly empty park.
That you decided to go to. You were literally in the confines of a restaurant, hookah bar, whatever, where people could see y'all. And if you just so needed help, even from them stupid decisions, like it wouldn't go much further than what's going on. Like, dog.
Then scream at him to get off of me. I told him to just stop touching me. He eventually relents. At this point, I was done and I needed an out. I turned to him and asked if I can use his phone, and he lets me. This is when I discovered that I can't call my mom's phone because his is still set to Turkish. I had a slight feeling of panic. I asked him to walk with me to another store or restaurant so I can try and get Wi-Fi and download one of those free text apps to call for a ride. He walks with me and he asks if we can hang out again. In order to not upset him, I said okay, but this is just a bad night for me and that I need to get home. He then says, I feel like after this date, I'm never going to hear from you again. I lied and assured him that that was far from the case. Well, eventually we were able to find Wi-Fi near a restaurant, and I successfully contacted my mother to come and get me at the park where I was dropped off at. He asked to walk with me back there, and I unfortunately relented. As we walked back to the park, he began looking around and he saw a random black guy walking by. He then tells me that he's nervous because he's afraid of black people.
Let's run that back.
And I unfortunately relented. As we walked back to the park, he began looking around and he saw a random black guy walking by. He then tells me that he's nervous because he's afraid of black people.
But he's not afraid to put himself all on this chick over here with his grubby, creepy hands, bro. Oh my gosh, some things you just can't make up, bro. Like, this is reality. This is crazy. Even if her phone died, she shouldn't have left the restaurant. They could have called her a cab, and that is an absolute fact. She's definitely thinking with not her brain at all.
I looked at him confused because, well, I'm a black woman.
What?
He then explains.
Hold the what the hey yo, what? Yo. So apparently he's scared of black people. But he's out on a date with a black woman? Let's just say this went well and he was just scared of black people, but he's going out with a black woman. You know you're going to have to meet the father, possibly the brother. Like, what are we talking about right now? That is oh my gosh, this is the most dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Well, you're not like that. The way that he walks just makes me uncomfortable. He looks like he would steal from me. So yeah, at this point, I was way past mentally checked out of this date entirely, and I didn't want to upset him in case he would try to do anything to me. He then leaned in and he gave me another tooth-filled kiss that honestly...
Oh my gosh, this irritates me so much. You have no idea.
hurt my face. I pulled away again and attempted to change the subject while I waited on my ride. I can't remember why, but he had pulled out his wallet and showed me his ID. Remember how he said that he was 20 years old like me? Well, it turns out his license says that he's 17.
Bro. look, I ain't even going to say because of his age, that's why he's being immature. Both of them are dumb.
Can't remember why, but he had pulled out his wallet and showed me his ID. Remember how he said that he was 20 years old like me? Well, it turns out his license says that he's 17. I then immediately asked him why he lied about his age. He stated that he didn't lie and that he had his birthday changed on his ID when he moved here. Even more confused, I felt super grossed out and disgusted with the fact that he seems to be a literal minor. I then looked up and saw my saving grace, my mom's car in the distance.
For the most part, you can tell somebody's age based on like their maturity level, even though the age doesn't necessarily make you mature. But I mean, at the same point, like, why would you want to be around somebody that acted immature anyways? Like, people write too many things off and be like, oh, it's fine, I'll fix them or whatever the hell. Bro, I have a zero tolerance. Zero. Not a 0.12. I'm talking about 0.000 infinity. Zero tolerance of bullcrap. Stupidity. Oh my gosh.
I suddenly stood up and explained to him that that was my ride and that I had to go. He then asked me if we could hang out again sometime, which I agreed. But as soon as I got in the car, I blocked him on all of my social media and then unmatched him on Tinder. I'm 27 now, and I've grown a lot in the sense that something like this would never happen again, especially over a heartbreak. I'm also happily engaged, so I don't ever have to worry about running into that kind of situation again.
Oh my gosh. If I have to rate that story 1 out of 10, it was definitely a -5. -5 in this bitch. So she obviously didn't recognize that she's being fetishized, right? And I said,
I went on Bumble and matched with a girl who I'll call Fran. She seemed really cool and I found her very attractive at first. I'm a bisexual female, and at the time of the story I was freshly 18. I had no experience with anyone, but my preferences were set to male and female matches. Fran was 20 because I had my age range set to include anyone between 18 and 25. We started talking regularly, and I had told her so much about myself. Well, after a month of talking, I felt like I could trust her as we spoke every day. I told her about how inexperienced I was, and she told me that she found this hot. I didn't think it was odd, but it made me embarrassed.
you want to know the most craziest thing is like, for whatever reason, this is personal experience. I was a virgin for a long time and I was happy about it, right? But for whatever reason, girls would just be, not girls in general, but personally, when girls found out that I was a virgin, they would like go absolutely ape shit. They'd be like, oh, you're a like, and then it made me want to back away from that bullcrap. I said, oh no, y'all tripping, y'all. And this kind of gives me that same vibe. Is like, it's weird. Like why are you excited? Because I'm an untouched individual. You know what I'm saying? Get away from me.
After that, she had began asking me intimate questions, like if I'd kissed anyone and what I thought my favorite sex position would be. She also started saying that we needed to meet up and that she couldn't wait to take my virginity. I felt uncomfortable but brushed it aside. I mean,
all this brushing aside stuff, man. Like, when is something just too weird to be like no? And why isn't there like a more simpler threshold of like, I don't like that. I'm not moving forward. You know how much, oh my gosh, you know how much the humanity would save itself if it just used the word no more frequently.
Maybe this was just how dating worked. I had matched with
I said, I'm a single black woman. You know how many times I had to ask strangers for help. I would have ran up to the brother immediately. I feel that.
some dudes on Bumble, and a few of them sent me a dick pic as soon as I said hey.
Wait,
So I
what?
thought it was normal for people to be very forward on these apps. I did like Fran, but having her constantly talk about my lack of sexual experience made me feel uncomfortable and embarrassed.
But
She would tell me constantly that she wanted to bang a virgin, and now was her chance, and how I was so hot, etc. I ended
see, look. When people are like, oh, men do this, men do that. Have you ever heard of like female and female relationships and how they break up? It's absolutely insanity. Insane. You know what I'm saying? Look. This other chick that she talking to, she coming at her very predatorial. She's just like, that's crazy. That's insane.
up telling her that she was making me uncomfortable, and she apologized. A few days passed and we didn't talk. I messaged her, but she ignored me. I
Hey.
thought that was it then.
Yeah, that's when you should just block her and be about your way. Right there, boom.
When she had sent me a web link, I clicked on it without really reading it, and it was the straw that broke the camel's back. She had sent me a link to a sex toy website advertising a very long strap-on dildo. I exited out and just felt awkward, and she sent me even more messages. She told me that she had ordered it for us, and that when we met she couldn't wait to put it on and fuck me with it for hours.
Oh, but I'm guessing you don't block them after you being weirded out like 50 times. Oh my goodness, man. Like, let's take accountability. A lot of the bullcrap that we get into is because of us. Like, point the finger at yourself. That hurts, doesn't it? A lot of the bullcrap that you happen to be in is because of yourself. I could attest to a lot of my bullcrap, and I'm fine with it. But why does it take the extreme? You know what I'm saying?
She went into graphic detail about all the sex positions that she wanted to put me in, and that she wouldn't stop fucking me until I was screaming, and that a girl like me needed a huge dildo. I felt so sick reading that. I realized that Friend was a psycho, and I messaged her telling her so. She messaged me back saying that she loved feisty sluts like me, and she'd make me her personal slut when she deflowered me. I deleted my entire Bumble account and never went back on it. I didn't tell anyone what happened, not even my closest friends. I know it might sound strange, but I didn't expect another female to be so creepy and unhinged. I feel like it's something society really needs to acknowledge more. Fran was definitely female, since you can verify your account to prove it's you by submitting a photo to Bumble in a pose they ask you to do. So it was definitely not some 50-year-old dude behind the screen. Years have passed and I still think about that interaction at times. I always hope and pray she never gets another young naive girl to meet up with her. And I hope that she never got the chance to act out some sick psycho fantasy with some other poor girl. It still makes my blood run cold to think about it. It might not sound that scary, but the way that she described wanting to basically hurt me sexually just disturbs me so much. It was really terrifying to know someone wanted to do that to me. She was obviously a very scary and dangerous person, and I'm just glad I saw her true colors and that I didn't actually end up meeting her. God only knows what would have happened.
Well, I'm glad she had enough brains to be like, that's too extreme. I'ma head out. Because trust and believe, there's more than enough people that still went on with it, be like, oh, they're psycho, and then they asked me on a date, and then I reluctantly said yes. You still said yes. So I notice she has yet to tell this woman no. Yeah, it took her literally forever. Crazy.
I'm a 29-year-old female, and while I'm well-traveled and have been around quite a bit, I do occasionally make some pretty rookie mistakes. My fault, and I make no excuses.
Hey, there you go. Accountability. Turn up.
I try to remain vigilant and alert, but I'm very capable of letting my guard down. So after being here in the US for about 2 months, I decided that I was bored sitting around my unit watching 90 Day Fiancé. So I decided to make the old dating profiles again. I made no specific intentions known about what I was interested in accomplishing, as I don't really know myself. I just wanted someone to hang out with and see where it goes naturally. I ended up matching with this one bloke who had shared interests with me. We chatted a bit over the app, and eventually I felt okay giving him my number. After talking back and forth for a couple of weeks, I agreed to meet up. We met at a pub and we had a couple of drinks. I'll admit, at first I didn't recognize him because he didn't resemble his photos to the extent that I was expecting. He didn't look...
Look. I don't think I've ever been catfished. Hey, look, I use video chat to the... I mean, I ain't got to do that no more, thank God. But I be using video chat, all that type of stuff. All of it. I can't remember if I've ever been catfished. I don't think so. But you wind up, you know what I'm saying? You think it's somebody in the picture and then they show up. Are you leaving immediately? Or are you going to be like, let's see how it turns out? And is it, let's see how it turns out because I still want food? Or you want to see how it turns out because you're genuinely interested, had great conversation, but they still lied to you though? That's my biggest thing. If they're willing to lie about some small stuff, boy, they're going to lie about some big stuff. Come on now.
bad by any means, but I could tell that he used older photos and edited them enough where he seemed more appealing. I swear, I'm not trying to sound superficial, because he was cute, just not what I was expecting. But I also think we've hit a point in social media culture where it's safe to assume that we won't see the same thing in real life as we do online.
You're not talking to computers. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's a human being. If they lied, they lied. Like, I don't think that... You see how, like, she dressed it to where it's just like, well, internet, this day and age, blah, blah, blah. Like, why would you give that a chance? A lie is still a lie. I don't care how white it is. White lie, whatever lie, little itty bitty teensy weensy lie, still a lie.
And that's okay. We did hit it off. We discussed the usual first date stuff, then we got into more detail. I told him about back home and work, and how life was different than here in the States. At one point we were talking and holding hands, and I felt comfortable enough to let him kiss me. Well, he had asked me as we were leaving if I wanted to go back to his place for a cup of coffee.
Coffee?
I told him that I knew what coffee really meant, and that I didn't want to do that on a first date.
Oh, that's a saying. I'm like, coffee at night. I don't even drink coffee. Like, I don't drink coffee. I've tasted coffee. I don't like it. But apparently they're not talking about actual coffee. That's wild.
He assured me that it would be 1 cup of coffee, and that he would give me a lift home so that I didn't have to call an Uber. I accepted his offer, and we walked to his apartment, which was
What? So is this not a saying? Or like, are we actually talking about coffee? Am I tripping?
few blocks away. As we were going upstairs, he had made a few questionable remarks. He mentioned how I wasn't like most girls because I accepted his invitation and alluded to the, "you never know, I could be a psychopath." He then motioned with his eyes down to my dress and inquired about my titty size. I told him again that I was sorry, but the night wouldn't end with him getting lucky.
Why are you going to his place then? Like, what else would imply that you, like, nothing else is gonna happen, bruh? Like, why would you put yourself in that position? Period. Like, what? There's no wiggle room for bullcrap. That's bullcrap. That's stupid. Oh my goodness. So you're gonna come over his house and tell him you're not gonna get lucky? You're getting closer to his bed. I don't like. Listen, if you don't know how men work, how men think, you're gonna be in a load of trouble. No is no. Maybe is yes.
As we got into his unit, he dismissed himself to the toilet and left me sitting.
I'm talking about stupid people that don't know how to read the room, don't know, have situational awareness. We talking about the general public of men. And then there's also the idiocracy of the general public of women, where it's just like straight up clueless, no situational awareness, and like deer in the headlights. Like, bro. And then you combine two of them together, and you have a real effed up situation.
On his bed. It was a studio, and he didn't have a couch. As I'm sitting there and waiting for him to finish doing whatever he was actually doing, I noticed in the corner by his bed that he had two masks. One was a cartoon-looking goat mask, and another was a cat or maybe a tiger. What was even more alarming was that he also had a Bowie knife and a small woodcutter's axe only a short distance away from them. Upon further observation, I also noticed that there was a black jumper draped over a dresser. Then on his bedside table, there were a pair of latex gloves. Okay, I don't feel like being murdered tonight.
I mean, you're in his house on a first date. You know what I'm saying? I don't.
I got up and then calmly left the unit. I then made haste down the stairs and down the street where I was able to catch a lift. Now look, I may have just really hurt his feelings because he had no malicious intent, but if that's all that happened, then I'd prefer that over the possible alternative. All of these items alone wouldn't have been that bad, but all of these random items within a short walk from each other, I'd rather just not chance it. I do feel bad for leaving a person, but I don't feel bad about leaving what could have potentially been a dangerous situation. That along with this random...
See, you wouldn't have been in this situation at all. You wouldn't have to have found out about nothing. You'd been solid if you just picked up on social cues, bruh. Like, I genuinely think, just based on my personal experience with doing martial arts for 17 years of my life, it helps me pick up on like social cues better, body language better, people's like I'm sensitive to people's like energy, their body, everything. Like I'm able to pick up, even if I'm not paying attention, I could pick up even still at a high rate, like probably 70-60% at the very, very lowest. But it's hard to get like bullcrap by me. And I feel like everybody should do a fighting sport, martial art, something, because I feel like it will develop your brain differently and better to understand situational awareness. You won't let a lot of stuff slide, I promise you.
Personality change was more than enough for me to make the call that I made. As of recently, I noticed that he
said, you never go to a man's house when you first meet them. That is a rule of thumb.
either blocked me from Tinder or just deleted the app.
I chose St. George's University.
I gotta ask what goes through people's mind, like, at the time, man. Be the wildest thing in the world.
I'm a 23-year-old female, and I've been single for a while. I go out on dates very rarely, but I just recently moved to a new city. I've been struggling with loneliness from not knowing anyone, and I don't have any real friends from work yet. So I took to things like Bumble and Tinder.
That is not how to make friends. Like, bro, that's probably that is one of the worst things you could do. Be like, oh, I'm lonely. First off, you lonely. Second off, you don't have friends anyways. Thirdly, you want to look for friends on Bumble or a dating app, period. 80 to probably 90% of anybody you're gonna talk to, they just want to clap. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's be real. Fourth, like, there's so many different clubs and whatever things you could do. Chess club, you can go to church, yarn club. Like, there's so, like, anime, like, everything. Literally everything. I don't know where she's at. I don't know how, you know what I mean? But still, it's like, that just calls out for desperation. So, what is it? What's the saying? Desperate something leads to desperate measures or whatever. Same situation. Desperation. Ain't gonna put you in the right spot. That's why, like, if you ever rushed somewhere or you were hurrying up somewhere, 9 out of 10 times you probably forget something or have an accident or whatever the case may be because you're trying to rush. Same way as desperation. Like, you're not going to put yourself in a clear state of mind to make clear and decisive decisions.
After maybe a week of swiping, I eventually came across a guy that I matched with. He was really cute, had a good job, had similar interests.
Pretty much dating apps are just for hookups. You just, I mean, on the offhand chance that some diamond in the rough is gonna be like, you know, the one. Funny enough, that's how I met my now fiance, is through a dating app. But I'm a straightforward person, and so is she. So it was just a divine
Interest as me and was the same age.
Divine
I
timing.
should have known better. We talked for about a week. After a couple of days, we exchanged numbers. We talked about life, talked about jobs, and he was just really sweet. He gave me assurance, and he told me that a new move could be scary, but that putting myself out there was a really good step in the right direction. He did get strange with me at one point, and he asked me things like what color bra or underwear I was wearing, and I told him that I wasn't quite ready to talk like that. He agreed that it was out of line and apologized. Didn't think much else of it. After about a week, he wanted to meet up in person. He wanted to be in a public space so that I could feel safe. He told me he would take me out to dinner, and if I wanted afterwards, we could go grab a beer. It sounded like a fun night to me. He wanted to meet outside of a dive shop, which I thought was a little strange. It's winter where we are, but it's one of those US states that doesn't really see cold winters, so I didn't give it a great amount of thought. The shop is also located near a public park, so there were a good amount of people there. After looking around for a bit, I'd spotted him talking to some people. I walked up to him and I gave him a hug. Not like super romantic, but more than a platonic, less than a partner kind of hug. To my disappointment, he just sort of aced his palms on my back, like he was put off. But he did give me a slight smile and a, "How are you?" I tried making it work. I told him he looked a lot cuter in person and that I was really happy that he asked me out. I was extremely nervous. His eyes widened and he had turned to ask the group that he was previously talking to who put me up to it. With no expression of humor, they all just calmly denied anything. He then asked me who told me to do this. I was confused. I told him that we had been talking on Tinder. He told me that he didn't have a Tinder, and he even...
That's weird. That's super weird. So apparently, this is what I'm getting. Someone made a fake account of the but wait, how? Oh, yeah, someone had to set them up. That's weird. Yeah. Someone that he knew had to set them up because they knew he was going to be there at that time. And they scheduled for her to meet him, and he wasn't talking to her, but somebody in the group definitely was. And they were acting like they were the date that she was supposed to go on.
Even went as far as showing me that he didn't have it downloaded on his phone. He apologized for the mix-up, and I showed him the profile, and he seemed equally confused. I turned away and started walking back to my car. I was so humiliated. Then I got a text message from the number I'd been talking to that just simply read, "Ha ha ha." I couldn't even fathom that. I attempted to call the number, but it had been disconnected. By the time I got home, the whole profile had been deleted.
Wow.
I blocked the number just in case. I had some of the photos saved that the profile sent me. I did a reverse image search on Google and I found the Facebook profile of the guy that I actually met up with. His name wasn't the same and he was actually a few years older. I also figured out that he was a dive instructor at the shop. I felt so betrayed and violated. I did send the actual guy a message and I apologized for the inconvenience. I explained everything to him and why I was acting that way.
Man, that's so embarrassing. That's tough. And that's why you FaceTime people. You know what I'm saying?
I gave him as much of the story as I found necessary.
Super awkward.
To my surprise, he actually responded back and he said that he was sorry and that he was also blindsided by the encounter. He did offer to take me out for a drink to make up for the whole mess, but I simply have severe trust issues now ever since.
I mean,
Hey everyone.
so I mean that she didn't say that she didn't go out for drinks. You know what I'm saying? She just said severe trust issues. I mean, come on. She probably went out. Come on. Just no follow up, I guess. Said followed horror stories. I have some stories about me being followed. 3 scary small town horror stories. Till your mother was possessed. Ooh, that's crazy. I'll say this one for later. Say this one for later. Yeah. Ooh, dark web horror stories. Yep. I'm gonna say that for later. I be saving a lot of stuff. Kid you not? Yeah. Oh, we got a lot of new horror stories coming. Yes, sir. 6 most disturbing true road trip horror stories. I actually don't care for road trips at all. Like, I'm not gassed up off of a road trip. Like, it's not. I can't wait to go on a road. Like, that's not a thing. But just to clarify, everybody, this is gonna be a short stream today. Just wanted to hop on real quick and say hello to everybody. But yeah, this one's gonna be the last video. Sadly enough, I know. Gotta cut it short. Like I said, I'm in the process of moving, so I'm over here trying to do all the video things and then all the extra work things and clean up everything and in and out. Sandra. Anyone did online dating? Not me. I definitely was. I was on online dating heavy. Like, I'm talking about heavy. When I first had downloaded Tinder, like before you had to pay anything, when it was straight up free. I mean, it's still free to download and whatever, but there's no like ads or anything. Boy, I was swiping right for everything. I was like, all right, let me see how many people. I think, yeah, it was like the first day it was like 800 something matches, and then like the second day it was like 1,000 something. I was like, gosh, damn. I was just like, I was overwhelmed. I was like, then after a while I had deleted it. I deleted it like a million times. Yeah, I reacted to the ATE trailer. It was dope. It's definitely dope. It was dope.
So it isn't mainly about me, but my friend. But I was there. So here it goes. We lived in a place that was mainly a peaceful little town and neighborhood surrounded by a vast forest to the side and a small one to the other side. And it's pretty much straightforward. I'm going to call my friend George. George and I would sometimes sneak out to go camping when the time was just right and the weather was right. This is probably where I made the mistake of deciding to come with him. I'll never forget the day George decided to sneak out and go camping in the forest near our town. I was surprised when he woke me up at dawn, his eyes shining with excitement. "Come on, mate," he whispered. "Let's get out of here and leave the world behind for a bit." I groggily got out of bed and then followed him to the woods. We made our way through the trees, the sun rising over the canopy above. After a few hours of walking, we had finally reached a perfect spot. A clearing surrounded by tall trees, a babbling brook running through the center. We set up our tent, built a fire, and then cooked some breakfast. As we sat there munching on our food and enjoying the peaceful atmosphere, I heard a loud crash. I looked up to see one of the taller trees swaying violently in the wind. The gust was strong, and I could hear the sound of branches creaking and snapping. But then, just as quickly as it started, the wind died down and everything was just quiet again. I turned to George, who was watching me with a concerned expression. "Did you hear that?" I asked. He nodded. "Yeah, I thought it was just the wind at first, but then I heard those footsteps too." I frowned. Footsteps?" George nodded again. For about 2 seconds, I thought it was just my imagination, but then I heard them again. We exchanged a look, and without saying another word, we got up and started packing up our gear. We decided to investigate the strange noise further. As we walked deeper into the forest, we heard nothing out of the ordinary, just the usual sounds of birds chirping and leaves rustling. But then, after about 10 minutes of walking, we heard a new noise. Branches breaking and snapping beneath something heavy.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you right now, camping, never been my thing. I haven't went like for real camping. I already know it's not my thing. You know what I'm saying? I'll go glamping. I'm cool with that. Hiking, though, on the other hand, I'll hike to the grocery store. You know what I'm saying? I'll hike to the corner store. That's hiking to me. But hiking? I did one actual hike that was on not the like actual Mount Rainier. We're on the mountain, but we weren't on the mountain. We were on the other pass of the mountain, but it was like 4.5 miles or something like that. Never again in my life. Tell you what.
We quickened our pace, our hearts racing with excitement and a hint of fear. Suddenly, a small car came flying through the air, crashing into the trees and then crashing into the ground with a deafening thud. We froze in shock, staring at the wreckage before us. Without a word, we turned around and started sprinting back to our campsite, grabbing our gear as we went. We didn't stop running until we were back in the safety of our tent, surrounded by the familiar sounds of nature. What the actual fuck? I started out while running aside George. As we caught our breath, I turned to George and asked, "What do you think just happened?" George shook his head. "I have no idea, but I think it's time we get the hell out of here." We quickly packed up our campsite and made our way back to town, not stopping until we were safely back into our beds trying to make sense of what had just happened. I'm glad I'm even alive, because that car fucking flew. And when I say flew, I mean that car flew right out of the tree line at a height that had to be at least 50 feet up or so, and it landed 30 feet away. So to whoever did that or whatever did that, we don't want to see you again.
Let me show you how we do stuff around here.
Hey, I believe that there's creatures, you know what I'm saying, amongst this earth that have yet to be discovered or have not peered to the human eye in a very, very long time.
I'm a 21-year-old man living in Orlando, Florida, chasing a music career.
Hey, I love Orlando. Orlando, Florida is fire. They got Disney World. Disney World. I love going to Disney World. Fire.
Only a close friend of mine passed away, and it's really made me think about a lot of the memories we shared. His name was Jack. Jack and I and my other high school friends.
So you used to work at Girl Scouts, but even then, you only do cabins? Yeah, I've done cabins like in 5th grade. It was like a field trip that every 5th grader does. It's called, we'd go to a camp called Camp Sispis, and we'd all be in these cabins or whatever. That was like I guess camping in a way. I don't know. But that was cool because everybody was there or whatever. But this kid got the biggest wedgie I have ever seen in my life. In my life. I'm talking about like the wedgie, like he was off the ground. And you know, like those bunk beds, he was hanging off the top bunk from the wedgie, dangling, and his underwear was like above his head. It was crazy. Crazy. Then once he got down, they threw it over that kid. Boy, I was like, that mess was crazy.
So I'll refer to as Joe and Ian would always go out late at night and do the stupidest shit together. We like to drive fast, get high, steal street signs, anything stupid that we can laugh about later, really. Jack was the most kind, strong, funny, and emotionally intelligent man I've ever gotten the opportunity to know. I would love to tell you about all our little funny adventures, but that's not what this channel is for. With that being said, long live Jack, and let's get into the story.
Did he die?
To set the scene, I was probably a junior in high school in 2019 when the story takes place, living in western Massachusetts. It was starting to get warm out, but it was still brisk. I believe it was around May. Me and my friend Jack, his girlfriend Joe, and Ian were all hanging out in Jack's basement. We were bored out of our minds and had nothing to do. We kept trying to figure out how we could have fun, when Ian then suggested that we explore the old abandoned buildings on Mount Tom. For context, there have been many stories about these buildings. People would visit during the day and find creepy graffiti, burnt out tea candles and pentagram formations, and sometimes even graffiti with their own full government names. We decided to visit at night. Jack packed a machete and a metal pipe as we got in Jack's truck, that we lovingly named the Red Rocket, and we then headed to the back of Mount Tom, where the road to the buildings was located. We exited the truck, Jack grabs his weapons, and we start up the closed road. There are dense woods on both sides of the road and an overall ominous vibe due to the lack of lighting.
Hey, look. Look. Second Amendment all day. All day. All day. And if not, look, I got a machete in the back of my car. And I always like knives. So you gotta have some type of weapon. Something. And I feel like I'm an extremely capable individual on my own, but precaution everywhere. You know what I'm saying? I ain't looking to use it. I don't want to use it. But if I have to use it, I have that option. Because I choose my life over everybody else.
The moon was especially bright that night, which allowed us to navigate the road more easily with our flashlights. A quarter of the way up, I hear a low ringing sound coming from up the mountain that no one else heard. Maybe my mind was playing tricks. Who knows?
Oh, you used to go hunting? Hey, Texas is where to do it. Well, Washington is too. That's good. Girl Scouts have some beautiful properties. The cabins were kind of posh. Oh, you had some squishy cabins out in the camping.
Halfway up, we saw some graffiti that had made us laugh. We had a friend who we'll call John Evans, and the graffiti read, "John Evans is gay." I want to state that I've never even been homophobic, but our buddy's full name in graffiti paired with the language used caught us off guard and really made us all laugh. A little further up, the graffiti got a little darker. Some of it would just say one of our names, some of it would say we're being watched, and some of it depicted some pretty extreme violence. The one that stood out the most read, "Don't turn around. Worst case scenario, you die," with a smiley face. We brushed it off as we were fairly well known in our area, and really anyone could have spray painted our names on the ground, especially because we had been talking about doing this for a long time. A little bit further up, we find the path through the woods that leads to the ski lodge. We hike through the overgrown, unmaintained path and come out on the other side to the main buildings. There's one directly in front of us, one behind us to the right, and a drained swimming pool on our direct right, as well as more buildings a little ways away diagonally right. I turned on my phone flashlight and put it forward, and immediately realized that we needed to leave. Directly in front of me in the doorway of the building we were going to enter first was the silhouette of a large man. I mean, he was really big. Tall, wide, and even bigger than Jack, who was the largest in our group. The man went from one side of the doorway to the other, and then crouched down to hide like he was going to wait for us to walk in to then attack us in a closed space with no windows and no exit. Ian and I were the only ones who saw him. We then turned around and told everyone else. Now, Jack, being the badass he was, told us to turn around and start walking out while he would walk backwards behind us to keep watch on the building. We went back through the dark trail and got on the road, and we started heading down the road and kind of all just laughed about the situation. We kept saying, probably just a crackhead or just a tweaker, or maybe it's just some homeless guy. We thought that we were being stupid for being that scared by what was more than likely just a homeless man trying not to have his shelter invaded until we heard the footsteps. They were soft at first, distant, coming from the woods on our left. We figured it was an animal until they got closer. It was clearly the sound of multiple people walking in pace with us. Then the sound came from the right as well. We then knew we were being followed. Jack's girlfriend then started crying, and we did our best to comfort her, but we knew how badly this could turn out. We were now all on the verge of panic. Out of nowhere, Jack tells us to run. He yelled out my name and then threw his truck keys to me, probably because he's the only one armed dual-wielding a machete and a baseball bat. I then passed the keys to Ian mid-run. We were all full-on sprinting down this mountain, and the footsteps were too. We were terrified that the people behind the tree line would make it to the truck before we would, but the second we got to the truck, the footsteps just stopped. We jumped in the truck, floored it out of there, putting as much distance as possible between us and the mountain. After about 5 minutes, Jack then calmly said, "Hey, sorry about that, guys." To which we then responded, "What the fuck are you talking about?" Jack then said, "You know, that little near-death experience. I'm convinced to this day that if Jack wasn't there, we would all be dead. I think we were allowed to leave because of Jack's imposing size along with the machete and bat that he had decided to bring on a whim. Jack never loses a fight, especially when the safety of his friends is at stake. He's the most genuine, caring, and fierce person I've ever met, and my life will never be the same now that he's left us for his next adventure."
Hey, shout out Jack. You know what I'm saying? Jack doing his thing. Big Jack energy.
The building's mystery burned down one night a few years back, and I know now that something sinister was definitely going on at the buildings on that mountain. I just don't know what.
Hey, see? Not like you're gonna put yourself in a situation. It's funny when scenarios are talked about in conversation, be like, "Oh, I would never put myself in a situation like that." It's not about you putting yourself in a situation like that. Sometimes it just comes down to timing as far as you being in a situation. Doesn't necessarily have to be like that, but a situation that is above your threshold of a challenge. So, hey, you got to be prepared. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. So when it's time to get ready, you already be ready. You feel me? So my scary story was a neighbor I had when I was single after being divorced. Hindsight, he had been caused. He'd been casing you. What do you mean, like scouting you out? What do you mean? Fortunately, my now husband, then boyfriend, had just bought a knife I kept on my hip. When I reached for it, the guy backed. Oh, chasing you. Yeah. Funny enough, like all of my exes, I always gifted them with a knife. Like all of my exes, I always gifted them with like a weapon, knife, something. Always. And then I always taught like some defensive techniques to use, and not hitting the nuts, not the eye gouge, not the throat thing, like legitimate defensive techniques. Those are still legit, but something that they could practice. You know what I mean?
At the age of 19, my friends and I were walking home from a party. A lot of people had gotten drunk. A lot of people probably got DUIs that night, unfortunately. I purposefully didn't bring my own car for that reason alone. You won't see me getting any...
He cornered you by your vehicle. Yeah, nah. See, a lot of people that like to violate others, they hate when people make noise, like a lot of noise. Screaming, yelling, whistle blowing, whatever the case may be, they hate that. If anything, that's probably like the first or second thing they're most scared of, because then people will find out. Because you gotta understand, if somebody is willing to attack somebody, right? Not get into a fight, attack somebody, they are more than likely trying to pick on somebody that they think that they could overwhelm. You know what I mean? Like, that they think that they're stronger. They look at other people as victims. That's the only reason why. Because you're not going to see somebody try to attack somebody they know they can't beat. So, man, oh man. It's a good gift. One of my exes gave me one because I was afraid to get a gun. Hey, baby steps. You know what I'm saying? But have you ever shot a gun prior to that, or have you shot a gun? Because look, it's quite the experience. I tell you what. But you'll have a better understanding. Like, okay, I get it. You know what I'm saying? Even if you don't like it, the idea isn't to use it. The idea is to know how to, if it just so happens that you need to.
Any DUI. Anyhow, the walk home was a good 20 minutes or so from our friend's house who had this party. Along the way, we had took a shortcut through the public park. For some reason,
But not even just that. Practicing under pressure. Because the only reason why you take it out is because your life is in danger. It's a life or death situation. That is literally the only reason. So being able to practice in high stress, situations is very important. So then you know how to calm yourself in those situations. So it's not like you did something wrong. It's because you're clear and concise about what the situation was, and this is how this situation is going to get dealt with. He mentioned my dog, described my backyard. My kids found his key back there. I've since changed my mind. I've been looking into it now. Even visited a gun store. Hey, you'll find some of the most nicest people at a gun shop. I kid you not. They'll teach you the whole nine. Everything. They'll start you like at the the lowest level possible, and then help you gradually get there. But it's all about safety because it's a lethal weapon. So it has to be safety first. You know what I mean? Safety, safety, safety. But it's about your safety, because if you can't protect yourself, then how do you expect to protect somebody else? You know what I'm saying? So I feel like it's more selfish if you have people that you need to protect, but you wouldn't take the precautionary measures to, protect yourself first, then to be able to protect others. You know what I mean?
I thought that the park might be fun to check out. Now remember, we were all pretty drunk walking home. One of our friends was sober just because he didn't really like the taste of alcohol. Plus, it's always good to have that one friend who's sober to help us out. Anyway, as we were chatting about our drinks in the party, our sober friend then stops and looks scared. We turned around and acknowledged him. What's wrong? We asked him. That man straight ahead doesn't look good, he says. We look in front of us, and it's like something right out of a horror movie. A man was dressed in all black, and he was wearing a white mask, like one of those ladies from the Stranger movies. But what was different was that he was wearing a top hat. He then showed us something. The man had chains. He then rushed at us.
See, at that point, because I do like to carry, I'd be like, oh, you show chains? And then look, because the thing with the law is, and depending on what state you're in as well, it's like doing everything in your power to get away, right? But in hindsight, your life is in danger. Everybody else is in danger. Life or death situation. Guess what? You can't just pull it out just to be like, I'll shoot you. That's a felony. That's a felony. If you pull it out, it's because you are to protect your life or somebody else's right there and then. And you are very much so in the right to empty that whole motherfucking thing right there and then. Point blank period. Point blank period. That's why my daily carry, that thing carry 19. 19. And I'm emptying that whole thing. Because somebody coming at me with the, boy, what? Oh, ain't no way. At my loved ones? No.
We started to run away as this man came rushing at us with his chains. A bunch of us fell down in the process because, well, we were drunk. The man then grabbed Sarah and then forcefully picked her up and then...
Yeah. That'd be his last breath, brother. Last breath.
wrapped the chain around her throat.
Bro, what?
The man then grabbed Sarah and then forcefully picked her up and then wrapped the chain around her throat. He was choking her with it. We could hear her grasping for air. Well, our sober friend then ran up and then tackled the man. He fell to the ground and we grabbed Sarah and started to make a run for it. The man then quickly got up and now tackled our sober friend. He started punching him in the face.
Bro, are these both girls and just one dude, or what's going on? Somebody doesn't have a phone? Call 911? What's going on? Just curious.
I remember our friend Jessica picked up the chain and then cracked him in the back of the skull with it. The man fell down. At that moment, we honestly thought that we might have killed him. We were freaking out now, thinking that because we were drunk, the police would think we did it on purpose, that we killed someone on purpose and we would be going to jail. Well, our sober friend told us it was all in self-defense and we would be okay. But before we could relax, the man stood up, and similar to how The Undertaker would sit up right during a fight after taking a big move. The man got up and then took off his top hat. Then he pulled out a power saw out from his jacket.
You hear this bullcrap? But people scared to get a gun? Stop it, bro. Stop it, bro. Oh my gosh. This, bro. Nah.
We all just froze in horror. Now this man who came at us with a chain now has a power saw. I didn't even know you could fit a power saw in your jacket. The man then grabbed our friend Mason, who was about to do God knows what with that saw, when Mason then kicked him right in the groin. We heard the man fall on the ground, and we even heard him cry in pain. Thinking fast, our sober friend then took the chains and then tied the man's feet. We then ran out of the park. Luckily, headlights were then seen in the distance. It was like some miraculous miracle. A police officer had stopped the car and noticed we were all drunk. Thinking he was going to have us take some sort of sobriety test, we tried our best to explain what happened. Our sober friend took the lead and then explained everything that happened, and he even told him that the man was chained up and he was in danger. The officer followed us to the park, but to our horror, of course the man in the chains were now gone. To this day, I really doubt that the officer believed a word of what we said. He probably thought we were just some dumb drunks making up stories for fun. But this 100% actually happened to us. I'm absolutely terrified to think of what would have happened to us if we didn't have Tim, our sober friend, with us to think fast. Both my friends Sarah and Mason would probably be dead, and the rest of us would be seriously hurt too. Anyone who wears a white mask in the dead of night carrying chains and a power saw definitely doesn't have good intentions. I don't know what the hell that man's problem was or what his plan was, but I hope I never see his crazy ass again.
Hey, Second Amendment. See, I want to make a skit one day where it's like, oh, it's a horror movie, right? There's the killer. But the story would be like the killer picked the wrong person. You know what I'm saying? It'd be a quick movie. The killer picked the wrong person. And the person just so happened to be like prior military, ex special forces guy, and like a Muay Thai kickboxing champion. The killer don't know that, but he's just like, I'm gonna get him, and just gets clapped. Cause why? Cause he's more than likely concealed and carry. or just kick his ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that'd be hilarious. Is this back in the 70s in Arkansas, right? But I know y'all drunk. But you can't help your sober friend out. Right, exactly. Yeah, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Yeah, Michael Jai White, right? Yeah, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That was like the very first actual like scary movie I've ever watched. And it was like it was the good one. Like the good one that was actually really scary. Yeah, that one was crazy. That was crazy. That one was crazy. I don't care for scary movies though. That's the thing. I don't care for scary movies, but I like scary movies that are based on a true story. That's what gets me intrigued, because then it becomes history. You feel me? So, but just like scary movies just to be scary movies to try to scare people, I don't really care for them. Like, they're not scary to me. It's like, all right, whatever. But the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was intriguing to me. That dude said, I'm gonna cut your face off and put that face on my face. Bro, what? I'm gonna wear people's skin. What? Oh, whoops. This thing is on mute. Let's go back.
The story is a few years old. I was out of town for work. I was tired of eating out all the time, and I went to the local Walmart to try and buy some healthy food for the week. I'm a 6'3" Hispanic male with a large build. Not very many things intimidate me, but this particular night had me reassessing my safety. My first stop was at the Walmart deli. I had ordered 3 pounds of Black Forest ham. While I was waiting for the lady to slice the meat, another lady had approached the counter. She knew I was waiting, so it surprised me when she began asking me about cheese. I said, "No thanks, just the meat." She looked at me quizzically and then said, "Cheese?" I then said, No thank you." She looked back over at the lady slicing my order, then looked back at me again.
If she said
this time cocking her head to the side.
Bro, if she says, it must be a code word or something. But if she said cheese again, I'd be like, I'm good, bro. I don't want nothing from y'all, bro. I'm good.
And once again said, "Cheese?"
I'm out, gone. Like I told you, I got zero tolerance for bullcrap. I'd be like, I don't want nothing from y'all. I'm good, bro. I'm out of there. Like I would not trust a single thing. Not at all. Cheat, bro. Nah. Like that's obvious code word for something. I don't know what it is, but guess what? I don't want to find out neither. You feel me?
This time even louder. Other people were now looking at us. I took a step back and leaned in closer to her, thinking maybe she didn't hear me the first time. I then made sure to enunciate.
Wait, so he stepped back and leaned in forward. Hold on. I'm about to probably reenact this.
A step back and leaned in closer to her.
He took a step back and then leaned in.
Even louder. Other people were now looking at us. I took a step back and leaned in closer to her, thinking maybe she didn't hear me the first time. I then made sure to enunciate my words.
Cheese?
No cheese. Less loud, but definitely more assertive this time. She just shook her head, threw her hands in the air, and then walked away. I'd like to say that was just the first weird exchange, but my adventure continued. After getting my...
You say your daughter likes watching scary movies, making fun of them, or my reaction to them. Oh, you get caught up with the jump scares. They're so predictable, though.
I began walking towards the coffee aisle. I noticed someone behind me. Normally I keep to myself, but the only reason I noticed this gentleman was because he was easily 6 inches taller than me. It's very rare to run into someone taller than me. As I moved along a different aisle, I had noticed the guy moved along with me. Every aisle I went to, he was right behind me. At one point, he was even getting close enough that he was in my personal bubble. not really doing anything and never making eye contact.
Okay, so it's taking this dude, I don't know how long, to be like, the hell are you doing? Dude is pressed up on him. Obviously, he said personal bubble. That's close. That means that's within arm's length. He's been following you for like every aisle, right? But you ain't said a thing. Boy, stop. No. I'll get somebody the look in the face and the up and down like, you good? What's up? I give them that. You know what I'm saying? Anything other than that, it's too much energy, and I don't look to waste it. You feel me? So it's either you back, or I'll call 911. Be like, hey, 911, this weirdo following me. I don't care.
Contact with me. I work out a lot in my spare time, especially since I'm on the road a lot for work. It helps keep me out of trouble, especially since I used to be a bar fighter. I could tell just from looking at him from my peripheral vision that not only was he taller than me, but he was also much more built than me. If I didn't know any better, I would have thought he was a bodybuilder. Now, all this happened before the whole TikTok prank era. If it happened today, I would have thought I was being pranked. But at the time, I didn't know what to think. Was this guy checking me out? Was he sizing me up for a fight? I was on my toes and I didn't know what to do. He had followed me throughout the whole store. Even when I tried to lose him, he just walked faster to catch up to me. Just before I was about to confront him, a small elderly black lady came around the aisle and started yelling, "There you are! Why'd you wander off?" The demeanor of the gentleman, who I now just realized was just a child, completely changed.
How did he now realize that it's a child? Like, what?
"Oh, sorry, Mama. I was just looking for something." This guy, who I thought was a grown man whom I was ready to defend myself from, turned out to be just a teenage kid just out shopping with his mother. I checked out with my stuff and then walked to my car. Looking back at that Walmart, I thought to myself, yeah, I'm never coming back to that Walmart after midnight ever again.
Because of a tall child that you didn't, want to check beforehand? Like, what are we talking about right now? That's dumb. But hey, this is the last little story they got on this video. Just giving you guys a heads up because it's gonna be a short stream today. Got a lots to do. But appreciate y'all. Love y'all very much for hanging out with me. Cause watching this alone is cool, but it's cooler as a group.
The story happened to me a couple of years ago when I was maybe about 16 years old. I'm a 5'4" girl for reference. I was out walking with my golden retriever who was only about a year old, so still a puppy and just excited to see everyone. I had taken him on a different route than...
Look, I like golden retrievers, but it wouldn't be in my household. You know what I'm saying? Golden retrievers are too happy clappy to have at all for me. You gotta look, a pit bull, Rottweiler, Doberman, Corny Corso, I forget is it a Mastiff? I like Mastiffs. They just got a lot of hair. I don't want to deal with it though. I like intimidating dogs. I like dogs when they bark, everybody shut up. You know what I'm saying? I like dogs like that. And then I like my small dogs as well. The small dogs are the alert for the big dogs. The little yappers. I like them. You know what I'm saying? I like that combo. So 2 big dogs, 1 small dog. Yeah. But I don't like the super kind, like a burglar could. I've seen it to where burglars go into people's houses and then they got them little happy dogs and they just greet them. I'm like, oh my gosh, such a fail. You have two of those and one more. Two of what? Two golden retrievers?
Normal that day, and all was fine up until I decided to walk through a plaza. I get past the end of it, passing a busy store, when I see a man walking towards me with a really creepy smile on his face. The guy looked middle-aged and a little rough. I was weirded out since this guy I didn't know was staring directly at me and smiling. My plan was to walk the way he was going, but I didn't want to get anywhere near him. Again, I was a small girl and this guy was pretty tall and a lot heavier than me. If he tried anything, I would be done for. I quickly turned to walk away from the man, and what do you know? He turns as well and starts following me. Now I was really freaking out at this point. What was this guy's problem? Why was he looking at me like that? I didn't want to find out, so I pulled my dog along, running up to one of the stores crying at this point. Luckily, my brother was working at the time in that store that I was right outside of, so I then called him, yelling at him to come outside. I didn't run into the store because I had my dog and they didn't allow pets. It was stupid of me not to, though. A woman had seen me cry.
He said my dog is medium, small, 23-pound. He thinks he can take on anybody. That's usually how it happens. He literally go ham on a pit bull.
On the phone and asked what was wrong. I told her and she said that she saw the guy following me and that she thought it was strange. She then stayed with me until my brother came outside. By then though, the guy was long gone. Figures though, right? After that, my brother then drove me and the dog home. I was still so paranoid by the time we got home though. I haven't seen the creepy guy since, and I don't want to. My brother though, on the other hand, says that he has. I've explained to him what he looks like, and he believes that he's seen him a few times around his workplace. Apparently he walks around and just talks to himself, so clearly he isn't mentally well. I hope that that guy has gotten some help, because I was half scared to death when he followed me. I'm really thankful that my brother was working when this all happened, because I'm really not sure what I would have done. Also, my dog is now 3 years old and a lot more protective of me. He may look sweet, but I do believe he won't hesitate to bite anyone who tries to touch me, and I'm very thankful for him. Hey everyone.
See, that's why when time comes and get my doggos, right? Train them from puppies. Those cool, sharp commands. Yeah. That's what I'm gonna have my dogs on. They're gonna be on point. On point. Oh yeah, even German Shepherds, they cool dogs too. Pit Bull, Rottweiler, Chihuahua, and a Bulldog. Yup. See, the thing about Bulldogs is they're Bulldogs. They like to sleep too much. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Let me see. Hold on. Yeah. I got friends that got bulldogs. They just yeah, they sleep too much, man. I think they got breathing problems too. And most of them, they be looking like this. This guy right here. Little cute, rolled up fluff ball. See, I need Corny Corso. See that? Come on now. Yeah. Look at this thing. Oh my goodness. I think that's fake. That has to be fake. Ain't no way. Look at that. Yeah, that looks weird. Look at that. Look at that good old boyo. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, I mean, that thing real. Look at his head. Who is pulling up? Nobody. Nobody's pulling up. Yeah. But the thing about Connie Corso's is like you have to be a dominant figure, and you also always have to, like, you know, make them know that, because they're very dominant animals. But yeah, I like me some Connie Corsos. You said look up my doggy. You never did. American Eskimo. American Eskimo. Oh yeah, these look like they prance around. These are nice looking dogs though. I guarantee you they be shedding all day, don't they? Mm-hmm. You said yours is a mix, so she's 70 pounds. That's a huge baby. Oh, only legal in a few areas. What's the thing that's like half dog, half wolf? Half dog, half wolf. Forget what I think these guys are like. I forget what it's called. I forget what these are called, but they're huge. And they're only allowed in like some countries. Forgot what mastiff it is though. What is I think the dogs that hunt bears. Yeah, these guys right here. These guys right here are savage. The mastiffs are savage. It's just a lot of hair to take care of. Sheesh. Look at this boy. Look at this boy. Oh, doggo. Same with my pit bull and my bulldog combo. It looks a lot. It took a lot of training. Yeah. That's funny. He thinks he's hard. Hey, that's what dogs would like to think. Is that what it is? American Wolf Dog. Look at this sucker. Look how big he is. Look at them paws. They about look like hooves. You said you had a dog that had a half dog, half wolf growing up when you were a kid. Had to be very careful with her. She was very sweet, but could occasionally turn. Fortunately, I was young and could climb. Yeah. That's the thing with the half wolf dog situation. Like, they're animals have a nature, and they're gonna remember when we were talking about nature versus the other thing. Animals, they can't switch it off. Like their nature is their nature. They're obedient to a point. Doberman Pit Bull. Dobie Pit. See, they get a lean, muscular kind of build with a Doberman Pit Bull, which is dope. Oh, what is it? It's the African. Is it the African Shepherd or something? African Shepherd. No, definitely not. Little scroungy. What the heck is that? I forget what dog. What dog does John Jones have? Yeah, this one. These dogs here. What is it? John Jones with his Dutch Shepherd. Is it a Dutch Shepherd? I thought it was an African. Dutch Shepherd. These dogs are crazy. They have a ton of energy. Oh, in the Belgium however you say it, the Belgium whatever. These two dogs, you have to take them out all the time. I'm not talking about, oh, let's go on a walk. I'm talking about you have to exhaust them. Like the same way as shepherd dogs. That's why you can't keep them indoors for a long period of time, because they'll destroy stuff, because they're like pent up natural anxiety and just energy ready to do stuff. Like they have to get put to work. These are like work dogs. They have to get put to work. These are like German shepherds, but like faster and like, yeah. American Mastiffs. Let me see. American Mastiff. They be slobbering though. They be slobbering like a lot. North American Mastiff. Ew. They are some big dogs though. Hefty. I like this one on the left. What is that? American Mastiff breed. Whatever this one is on the left, I like these here. These, I'm sure both of them drool, of course, but this one you could literally see the white drool on the side, and I cannot do that, bro. Especially because then once they like shake, it gets everywhere. Like oh no. Especially, man, if I'm eating that mess, dropping my oh my gosh, no, no sir, because they can't control it. You know what I'm saying? They're just gonna be drooling. Oh, look at them, so cute. Whoa. All right, yo, got to get going. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all very, very much. Had a wonderful time on stream. The drool is serious. I just can't do it. I'd be like, all right, you got it. You know what I'm saying? Like, to each their own. I just don't. I've sat in a puddle of drool before, and it's just so uncomfortable. I'm just like, It's the hair thing, drool thing. No bueno. Yeah, their faces are they're cute. That's the thing. It's like, if I had one, I'd be like, he's so cute, but your ass gonna have to be outside. Cause ain't no way I'm gonna be sitting in drool. Cause you like to sit everywhere else that I like to sit, and then there's a puddle of drool, and I'm like, I ain't gonna be smelling like dog all day. Not me. Rottweilers are my first love, my first dog that I loved. But yeah, all right, y'all. I'm gonna catch y'all soon. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Deuces.